You know, scientific research has never been more advanced. But all that progress, it comes with a huge price tag. So how do we actually know if we're spending all that money in the smartest way possible? Well, today we're going to look at a brand new tool that promises to put an exact price on scientific efficiency itself. It all kind of boils down to this one simple question. Are the super complex, really expensive robots we're putting in modern labs actually worth the investment? It's that classic tug-of-war between amazing cutting-edge tech and its real-world cost. Yeah, we're not talking about your old high school chemistry lab. We're talking about places called biofoundries. These are massive, state-of-the-art facilities that use robotics to run literally thousands of experiments at the same time. They're on the front lines, trying to solve enormous challenges, like finding new medicines or creating sustainable biofuels. But that kind of scale, it creates a really big problem. How do you measure if what you're doing is actually efficient? I mean, sure, running more experiments sounds great, but that can also make your costs and your timelines just explode. There was no single, easy way to balance the three things that matter most: cost, time, and how many samples you can process. So, to solve this, a team of researchers decided they needed to invent something totally new, a kind of standardized price tag for any given experiment. They called it the Experiment Price Index. And you'll never guess where they got the idea. It didn't come from biology or chemistry. It came from social economics. The team actually looked at the Human Development Index, which is a metric the UN uses to measure how well a country is doing, and they thought, hey, we can adapt that same idea for the lab. And the result of that idea was the Experiment Price Index, or EPI for short. Basically, it's one single number that tells you the overall efficiency of a lab process. And it does that by mashing together two super important variables: how much it costs to run one sample and how long it takes to run that one sample. Okay, so the easiest way to wrap your head around this is to just think of it as an efficiency score for an experiment. And the most important rule to remember is, just like in golf, a low score is always better. A low EPI means your process is fast and it's cheap. So to prove that their new metric actually worked, the researchers set up a classic showdown, a direct head-to-head competition, human versus machine. Let's meet the contenders. In one corner, you've got the human-powered process, we'll call it HP, where one scientist does absolutely everything by hand. And in the other corner, you have the robot-assisted process, or RP, where scientist gets help from a robotics platform. Both of them are doing the exact same job. And this was no small task either. The project they were working on involved building 625 different, totally custom DNA designs. We're talking about a real-world, high-volume challenge here. All right, so for a truly fair head-to-head fight, they took a smaller chunk of that project, a set of 48 identical designs, and had both the human and the robot build them from scratch. This way, you're making sure you're comparing apples to apples. So, the showdown is over. After all that, who actually came out on top? Let's dig into the results. First up, let's look at the most obvious thing: success rate. You know, how many of those 48 designs actually worked? The human process got it right 61% of the time. The robot-assisted process, 70%. So, yeah, the robot did a little better, but it's pretty close, right? And that brings up the key question. I mean, with success rates that similar, how can you really declare a clear winner? Just looking at who got more right answers doesn't give you the whole picture. Not even close. And this is exactly why they invented the EPI. By looking at that efficiency score and always remembering that lower is better, we can finally get a clear look at who the real winner is. So, the human-powered process. It clocked in with an EPI score of 6.17. Okay, hold on to that number for a second. And the robot-assisted process? Just 3.45. I mean, that's not even a contest. The robot was nearly twice as efficient. So even though the success rates looked pretty similar, once you factor in the time and the cost, the EPI shows there was a massive advantage for the robot, a clear, undeniable winner. Okay, so the robot won, hands down. But the real power of the API isn't just about picking winners and losers. It's about what it reveals, about how to build a smarter, more effective lab from the ground up. So where did that huge efficiency boost come from? Well, get this. If you look at the cost to process one sample, it was identical, the exact same. The robot's entire massive advantage came from one thing: time. It absolutely crushed the time per sample, taking it from over an hour down to just 22 minutes. That was the secret to its incredible FIP score.
So the obvious lesson here is automate everything, right? Just get the humans out and let the robots take over. But here's where the story gets really surprising. The EPI data shows that's not necessarily the smartest move.
And the reason why is all right here in the cost breakdown for each sample. See that slice for hands-on labor? It's only about a quarter of the expense. The vast majority of the cost, a whopping 68%, is for the physical materials themselves. So even if you went to full automation and magically eliminated all labor costs, the overall EPI score would barely even budge. And that is the true power of the EPI. It's a strategic tool. It lets lab managers see exactly where the bottlenecks are. It helps them make data-driven decisions, like knowing when it's smarter to hire more people versus buying a robot. In this case, they learned one robot was as efficient as about 4 human researchers. It helps them focus their money and energy where it will have the biggest impact, whether that's cutting material costs or just improving success rates. Because at the end of the day, that's what all of this is really about. This isn't just about saving a few bucks here and there in a lab. The real goal here is to make the entire process of science faster, cheaper, and more effective. Because that is how we speed up the discovery of the new medicines and new technologies that are going to shape all of our futures. Which leaves us with one last big idea to think about. We make big projects report on their budgets, on their environmental impact. What if every single one also had to report its efficiency score? Imagine how something like that could fundamentally reshape the future of innovation. Thanks for joining us on The Explainer.